So you bring up a very good point. While we talked about your audience being primarily sisters, maybe millennials, but it's resonating with so many other people. Let's talk about why this is important for everybody to know about and read about.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I think I was recently at a conference and I was off to the side kind of watching who picked up the books and who didn't pick up the books. And it was a primarily white women conference that I was speaking at. And I noticed that pretty much and I stuck around for about an hour and watched this. And my case study was only 3 women of color picked up the memo. Mm-hmm. And white women just passed by it because I think our unconscious bias says that book is not for me, right? It says women of color on it. It has a black woman on the cover. You would say that's not for me. But I say, yes, it's every much for you as it is for us, because how can you be a good ally? How can you be a good colleague if you don't know what it's like for me to modify my name, or you don't know what it's like for me when last night, the Trayvon Martins were murdered and now I come into the office. Like, you need to understand what it's like when the manager says, you people love your bright colors. Like, these are the things you need to be aware of.
Yeah.
And you read these books so that you
tell that story so everybody knows what you're talking about, because you just posted this on Instagram and I was like, what time capsule was this man flying in on? You want to tell the story?
Yes, really quick is, when I first started in corporate America, I had a manager and he would say all kinds of crazy things, but it wasn't something I was ready for. No one had given me the memo that this would be the kind of stuff I'd be up against. And I came into a city, I was a consultant, and I picked up him and a colleague from the airport because I got there a day early. And so he got in the car and he commented on my nail color. I had burnt orange nail polish, and he said, "Oh, you people love your bright colors." And then he jokes with my other white male colleague for 15 minutes, mind you, about how black people love bright colors.
Wow. Is his name Archie Bunker? Because that's exactly what Archie Bunker would say on the Norman Lear show back in the 70s?
Yeah.
80s? And Meathead would correct him.
Well, the one in the back seat did not correct him. He, laughed too. And I didn't know what to say. I didn't know if I could say anything. And I didn't, how we do sometimes. We just kind of fake laugh and we push forward because that's what sometimes we have to do. But we shouldn't have to do that. And bad behavior, I went on to work for him for many years, and he would say those things all the time. And I settled into that, Michelle, and I shouldn't have. And I don't want us to be able to do that. But the most important thing is, the reason why I tell that story, and I wrote about it in the book, is that what if that colleague in the back seat would have been an ally, would have stepped in, would have cut in and said, you know what, we don't do that here, or asked me, Minda, sorry that went down that way, blah, blah, blah. Those are the things that we need people to step up and read experiences.
Right. And there was another story you told in Twitter, and it sounded like it took you a little bit of time to even come to the conclusion that you share, and I understand why. But you had an experience in the airport, and it spurred a whole conversation about allies, and we talked a little bit about what an accomplice really should be, because there are some folks that think, oh yeah, I'm an ally, but they think that's a passive position. I know better, but it doesn't necessarily mean I need to chime in and do better. So what happened to you?
Yeah, it was during the holidays, and I was very skeptical about talking about it because I didn't want to put it out there, but I thought it could be a teachable moment. And a very long story short, I was on one of those walkways at the O'Hare Airport, and on one side you can stand and
the people movers.
Right. And normally I am the people mover, but I had, I was tired. I was just like, let me just stand here and catch my breath. And all of a sudden I felt this baggage drum up behind me.
Wow.
And I turned around, and this guy, who happens to be a white male, he was ramming his luggage behind me, and then he says, move out of the way. And he continued to do that. And then once I told him that, you could go around me, that's what that area is for, he got in my face. And for those of you who have never met me, I am 5 feet on a good day.
She's small, people.
120-ish pounds. And, he was much bigger. He had 2 luggage. And so then he blocked both sides of the walkway. People were behind us, so nobody could get out. And so he called me names. He called me some racial slurs. I was actually on the telephone when he did this, and I told myself in that moment that I was not going to move.
Yeah.
Right. he was like, move out of the way. And he continued to be aggressive even until we got off the walkway. I told the police, I got off the walkway, I turned the corner, I saw about 5 police officers. I figured I should tell them because he had, assaulted me verbally, but then with his suitcases, and they told me there's nothing they could do because he didn't physically put his hands on me.
Wow.
And it was a lot. And on Twitter, we were having this really in-depth conversation. Because I said, where are all these so-called allies? I had about 10 people behind me when this was happening, and nobody did anything, intervene, even asked me if I was okay.
Wow. And you just got to ask yourself why. There are a million reasons why people don't get involved when even there's crime going on. They say they just don't want to be a part of that. They don't want to get in the mix. They don't know what's really going on. But this was clear.
It was clear. It was super clear.
Goodness. So do you think this is a heart issue? Why people do what they do? Like the guy with the luggage just pushing you.
Yeah. Obviously he's angry at the world, right? And he had every right to be upset for whatever but what he didn't have the right to be is to attack me and racial slur me. That's a different thing, right? I think that it is our responsibility to stick up for people or at least de-escalate the situation. There's no way that I would have been behind a woman and a man doing this to her and not done something, said something, try to de-escalate the situation. And so we have all these people who tell us every day, we're an ally. They wear the pins, but never put any skin in the game. Don't do anything. I mean, there are those who do, right? But I think
totally.
we can't stand in silence any longer. And that's in the workplace and that's in real life.
Right. Because you know what? People like, let's call him Bill. Bill with the luggage. People like Bill go to a workplace somewhere. And I'm sure his workplace has not just an EEOC statement, but they probably have a diversity and inclusion program. Yeah. And Bill, the luggage guy, still thinks the way he thinks.
Yeah, and Bill would have been fired probably. The things that he said to me, I told the EEOC or I told the HR, I would imagine he would have been fired. And he went to his job, right, working alongside probably a couple of us, right?
Right.